Inateremsha moto kuteremsha.
Hii moto inafika vizuri.
Tuko na power bwana.
Umeniona?
Iko na 13. Hiyo unaona hiyo poti ukiweka lazima uwekelee mahali kasidini. Ikuwe stable.
Aloto monitor. Lakini natengenezanga vizuri. Naweza tengenezea.
Nataka ikishindikana kutengeneza nichukue nyingine na sitapea mtu. Eti niite mbaya.
Inakuwa hivyo. Nadhani ndio kitu mbaya. Shikanisha hii itakuwa sawa. Asante.
Connect.
Charging.
Swali tarehe moja. ndio ndani lunch ndio inajua wito kali. Patients atakwambia utamwanzuri hali mask gizani baada ya kungoja tumbo ishangilie dini. Tajiri mwenye taji anajua barabara ya umaskini sio tama, imara mkamili. So silence come ili upate fadhili. Unanipigia mbona unanikatia? Kwanza nombe peke siku nisiketume chitakia. Papara punguza supu utaparara. Ogopa kani hapo staki ujapewa umenusa na ushatangazia umati. Peleka pande ile wapi ile pande ile naona jisikia. Hizi pande zetu sio tunanga idea. Kuna vitu vingi sana za maana sizingatia. Unanipigia mbona unanikatia? Kwanza nombe peke siku nisiketume chitakia. Papara punguza supu utaparara. Ogopa kani hapo staki ujapewa umenusa na ushatangazia umati. The station where you turn, mark my back.
Sauti.
Kwa nini?
Kama ni kuimba ongea.
Haina violence. Living in ghetto, it is clearly known that any man can fall in love with a woman's smile, swag, or even cry, but it takes a real man with the realest revelation to care more deeper than blood and flesh. Hide and seek. Church ni mkute kwenye bashi na raundi shwa ipreza nimeka mtu kumatisha. Nina media fiti inaitwa KTN News. Hello, niko creative Kenya Archives, nimeka mkuu wa cheki. Ni salam nimeona mko fete. And I've come by the name shwa ipreza. Weza mambo vipi, mambo fresh, mambo sete. Niko high, siko low, niko creative. Na mabeste nimeka mkuu wa cheki. Ni salam nimelola mko fete. And I've come by the name shwa ipreza. Na madem sijaka mkuu wa cheza. Mambo vipi, mbona sizu na nikemba? Kuna time show na nipenda. Hivi kupenda pendwa kudadeki. Wapi unaupeleka moyo? Ona leo lompenda leo unaenda. Hivi kupenda pendwa kudadeki. Wapi unaupeleka? Eri nipende una leo lompenda leo akutaki. Ameushusha moyo. Hata leo siku ya leo pia umevunja rekodi. Hii ndio sauti ya Swipe Care Atea. Jina langu mtaishi kunikumbuka.
Uongo ni Alvin Maina. Uongo yani uongo Ngoja niimbe chapati. Kazongo udadari chapati ya machini unaitoa sahi. Nanunua chapati bao utaitoa sahi. Chapati bao ninunue. Ae punguza ikwe 10 wewe. Hadi unga tu 10. Hadi Naivas wanaenda. Wanapata nini? Hadi save money kitu gani? Nani wewe unakula 3.7. Uniambie Kazongo, watu takutoa 27. Wanda watu takutoa hapo. Ongo ni shida wewe. Ona hadi sipati hadi bao. Sababu watu wenye kali sahi ukienda ni kama 500. Uko na iba
0 mileage na komeneo wako kwa njia roll ikivipa modo na nidi
ndio hiyo
ndani ya F class na kwa member mileage
backbenja ndani ya eta backbenja ndani ya eta wewe eta Kazongo wewe eta sister mwambia lala amuke wewe wacha kulala amuka Nikupiga makofi. Alafu nitakufanya hivyo. Niangalia tu kwa simu, lakini ujua mimi Turianda dro.
Sawa, watoto imetosha. Watoto imetosha sasa hivi. Siwezi mpigia, tuko live. Siwezi mpigia Ruto sasa hivi. Unaitwa nani? Utasema jina.
Ngoja. Mimi naitwa Songo, tamweka kwa mfuko. Mimi naitwa Victor Kamano. Alafu ukinita Kabuda ama Mapengo.
Sawa.
Vijani vyaka. Mapengo ama Kabuda.
Vijana wanenya wanakuwa na TV.
Kasongo, shuka kwa gari ama utuletee moshi.
Uli mjane, alafu kesho sikie ako na shida ingine mwaki.
Mimi ni chizi mwenyewe.
Tengeneza kisoko na hakuna kitu. Hakuna kitu. Ngoja mtu asiku. Kijana hawana ndio maana hawajampeleka.
Hapana, kuachiliwa si shida boss.
Okay, but then anajieleza. Hakuna mtu
That is his democratic right. So protest ni right yake. Mimi na mnaishi kwa manyumba za maji.
Kila mmoja araji hapo.
Wewe sitaki kushika leo na kazi nyingine, lakini kesho ujitayarishe, nitakuwa na wewe.
So he needs the letter.
Mwachilie.
Yes, to kill the spirit of what we are doing. Sindio? Ayoma, 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 ayoma. Na polisi wasikie, 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 na polisi wasikie. Mapambano yaja Kenya, mapambano yaja Kenya, mapambano yaja Kenya, mapambano yaja Kenya. Na polisi wasikie, na polisi wasikie, na polisi wasikie, na polisi wasikie. Mapambano yaja Kenya, mapambano yaja Kenya. Ayoma, ayomama, ayoma, ayomama, ayoma, ayomama, ayoma, ayomama, ayoma, ayoma. Asikie, Nakasongo asikie, Nakasongo asikie, Nakasongo asikie, Nakasongo asikie, Nakashuka mafuta na Songo asikie. Nakasongo asikie.
Asante.
In studio with us, we have CS Treasury John Mbadi to tell us why our fuel costs so much, amongst many other things. Welcome, CS. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much, Mariam, and the rest of us, Latif and
Waboy.
Yes. Good morning. And good morning to Kenyans.
Hey, is it a good morning?
Good morning.
We'll get into
it. Will always good morning. Challenges will always be there, but you thank God for giving you life, because that's the most important.
Very true. Let's get into the day with the quote of the day. Phalaris will share it with you really quickly, and then we can talk about the cost of fuel.
Absolutely. Today's quote is courtesy of Napoleon Bonaparte, who was a French military leader. And the quote reads, "Nothing is more difficult and therefore more precious than to be able to decide." Nothing is more difficult and...
Good morning. You know, I like that quote because really in our lives, decision is the most critical. Have the ability always to make a decision. And the decision you make has implications going forward. If you make a wrong one, you live with it. If you make the right decision...
that have been made, and hence why we're seeing the situation as is. And it's only fair that we start this conversation with the state of, affairs as far as transport and energy is concerned. Now, EPRA, Kenyans woke up to craziest price hikes, and everybody's looking to government for a response. Schools are closed. People are not able to make it to work, yet here we stand with no official position from the government in terms of how this situation is being addressed.
What we are seeing is a bit unfortunate. The prices have gone high, that's a fact, and it is really hurting, and it has hit the economy, leave alone even the strike that we see today. The general economic indicators will not be performing as earlier projected, because with high going forward with our forex reserves, which may affect the exchange rates, and with all the consequences. So these which are informed and not emotional decisions. This is not the time to make emotional decisions. I must repeat. When I attended the spring meeting in April, when actually there were still hopes that the war would stop quickly. But you could see the almost 80% of the discussion around that conference was on the impact of this US stop it. It has to hit our economies. And my concern is that we are trying to solve a global problem applying domestic means, which I think is not appropriate. In my view, I think the strike is completely uncalled for, even though the prices of petroleum products have risen. It's completely uncalled for because we need to understand why these prices have gone up. Number one, if you take the prices of petroleum products on the 28th of February, 2026, when the war broke out, I will give you just one example. The price of diesel, what they call the Platts price or index price, without adding the premiums, was at 642 per metric ton. Now that has risen today. The prices have changed in Kenya. That diesel, the price from February to now has risen by about 55%. Therefore, it means that already the government has absorbed in the premiums to the price. And the same with petrol. In fact, petrol, the government has even absorbed more. If we were to leave the prices without any intervention as a government, diesel today would be costing us not less than 35 shillings more. And petrol actually would be costing us over 70 shillings more. About 311 would be the price of petrol. So already the government has intervened. There may be calls for more intervention, but we have also to balance it out. Let me just point out this clearly. From April to now, how much has the government spent on trying to cushion or reduce the prices of petroleum products? We have reduced VAT on petroleum products from 16% to 8%. That is a loss of at least 12 billion per month. And that for the 2 months, it is 24 billion shillings. We have also applied the fuel subsidy. And that fund had 17 billion at the start of this crisis. And this crisis started getting felt in April because we were still using the stock of the previous supplies and also the orders that had already been made. Now, if you take again, in the month of April, we applied 6.2 billion. And then this month, we have applied 5 billion. In that kitty, we have just about 5 billion left to take us to the end of the financial year. Now, that is another 6.2 plus 5.2, another 11.2. Add to 24 billion, the government has already spent, so to speak, an expenditure of 35 billion in 2 months. And this is a crisis that we don't know when it will end. And so, it is not something to really politicize. 2 of them that I was coming to discuss, that I've been invited to discuss this fuel crisis. They thought I was making a mistake, that I shouldn't even talk about it. But again, in leadership, you know what is happening, so that we find a solution based on facts and objectively. Instead of just criticizing that nothing is fundamentals. And I will come to tell you that our budget is also facing a strain. So there is a limit you can go.
What's the limit? What's the limit? Because so far, what you're telling us is...
Right.
And by, well, spending... This is money... The Petroleum Development Levy really, I don't say an expenditure in government. This is money that we put into a kitty for such rainy days.
Correct.
Right? In every time we're buying fuel. So it had 17 billion shillings. You've already drawn down 11.2 billion shillings. It's okay. From the 24 billion on VAT, on tax, on direct tax, what is your...
Well, Latif, how much we can go is not something that I would just tell you that we can go this much. We have to sacrifice, and we have to decide as a country the level of sacrifice. You know, when you are in a crisis situation, you sacrifice. And the limit of sacrifice cannot be determined by one day event. Depending on how this crisis continues in the Middle East, we may end up sacrificing more. And you have talked about cutting expenditure. It is easy to say that we can cut expenditure. But a lot of our expenditure lines are so inflexible. I will tell you, even if I take you to the next year's budget, which you have seen. Out of the money that we collect, the 3.63 trillion that we are likely to collect, 1.5 is going to go into debt repayment. You have no latitude there. And about another trillion, I mean, am I talking about billion or trillion? 3.6 trillion, 1.5 trillion is going to debt repayment. 1 trillion will go in 1.1. Now, out of the 1.2, and you have not brought in other recurrent expenditure that cannot be delayed. You have not brought in CDF that goes to our constituencies and many others. And that you have not even touched development. And part of that, our development budget is so inflexible because they are donor funded and donor negotiated. And you also have to bring in what we call the counterpart funding for those projects to proceed. So you have to balance all these things. There's areas you can cut a little. And by the way, even in the security sector, that I've been asked sometimes, you put so much money.
You keep adding money.
Yeah, you keep adding money. But look, we are in an environment, we are in a fiscal position in this world that exposes us a lot. We are neighboring Somalia here. You can see there's a crisis in Sudan and the rest of the region. If we don't spend money on security, especially and that is why we said, yes, let's reduce VAT to 8%. We have already absorbed that. We are absorbing it. You are right. In terms of the fuel subsidy, that is the role for which it was meant. But again, you can only go so much because what is in the budget, what had remained at that time, financial year, we can over budget in that fund because it is a fund that is created through a statute and the amount allocated for it is defined by law. So you may find that if this war progresses for another 1 year, we will spend so much and we'll exhaust the fund. We'll have to then cut other levies. If we cut other levies, it's going to hurt the budget. So we have to balance off all this. And it is not something that you wake up one he knows very well that 7 shillings is not available. That money has been securitized, and that is what has unlocked the road construction that we see in this country today, including the Mau Mau road.
What you're saying is that you are caught between a rock and another rock, and that you are somewhere where you really can't squeeze anything out.
And that is why the government cannot just rush into emotional decisions. We have to look at what is the possibility of this war dragging even further. So if we are taking action today, for how long?
But Waziri,
yes,
it is, we knew when the war started that it's going to have an impact.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
So you definitely sat at cabinet level and you started projecting the impact. You're even telling us, you went to Washington the other day, and that's the whole, everybody, for the World Bank and IMF conversations, that's what everybody from across the globe was discussing. So even coming back home, you knew that this is the issue to deal with. It is not a one-day thing, Waziri, the way you're putting it. That, you know, that one day we wake up and make a decision. No, you've had more than 2 months. This is the best decision that this government of ours could have made. Right? I want to come back and look at the price and the tax.
The components,
Right? And then you tell me, what is the inflexible bit there? And so, therefore, what from our side of our budget, where we also don't have, you know, flexible income, what do you want us to do to flex so that we can afford to live this life? It's 29 minutes. It's actually 7:30. The Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury and Economic Planning, John Mbadi, is our guest. We also have our reporters on the ground, and we have been showing what we are showing on the road, and we're also seeing very many people who are telling us what's happening on the roads. Let's take this quick break. When we come back, we'll sample some of what you're saying on the road about the situation on the roads.
To tell us where you are, show us what's happening as far as the Matatu strike is concerned. If you're able to get any form of public transport, if you're walking, if you're staying home. We're looking at Waiyaki Way, footage from Waiyaki Way right now, and it just looks pretty clean. For the most part,
a walking nation.
It does not look like a Monday morning. It does not even look. Even Sunday, it's somewhere in between a public holiday and a Sunday.
Like a Christmas
like
day.
Christmas period.
No. There are very many people on the road. On a public holiday, you wouldn't have this number of people
walking.
Actually,
That's true. That's That's coming down onto Matatu. Everything else, you know, even the lack of traffic just tells you how thick things are.
I think.
Situation on Thika Road. This is how it looks like, And the Thika Superhighway. So it's just the personal vehicles that are applying this route. No matatus on site. A few borders, as we can see, but matatus, no. And this would be a time when the matatus would be very, very, very many. And so this road would be very busy. At such a on the roads, this is what it looks like. Matatus, not many, just a few matatus on the roads. And of course, those have hiked their fares. Like, will people be able to afford it? And those are just the ones who've decided, let's operate today. Many have decided not to operate. Not many, even taxing, telling us the situation from wherever they are, as well as them reacting to what the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury is saying. As we get back into this conversation, Bona CS, let's just compare the price of petrol, where the subsidy was not applied cents. This is according to EPRA. And then we start adding things. So the first thing, of course, we add is storage and distribution, which is 4 shillings and 99 cents. Then oil marketing margins, which combined are 17 shillings and 39 cents. Wholesale at 6 shillings. And cost, it's 74 shillings. Duty, 21 shillings and 95 cents. Road maintenance levy, 25 shillings. Petroleum development levy, 5 shillings and 40 cents. Petroleum regulatory levy, 75 cents. Declaration fee, 2 shillings and 80 cents. VAT, this is at 8%, 15 shillings and 87 cents. That is what is taking the price. Very huge spike. Diesel is at 242.92, even despite fuel has gotten an injection of 91 shillings and 29 cents, stabilization. That's why the price is at 152 and 78. This is still very high if you look at just the taxes component of it. And you're saying you need these taxes to run the government. But then if you pass on these costs to get anything out of it, if matatu operators and others are saying, we can't, because we can't hike the fares, because people will not afford. So what's the balance here?
So the balance is what I'm saying. You have to look at the consequences of what you take, the decision you take. The Sadat would have taken it up to about 89 shillings. And then we have the fuel subsidy, which has also already subsidized the price. It would have been much, much higher. Now this, we have a budget that is running up to June. It is inflexible. You cannot go and start saying, I will stop paying salaries because you will not stop or going to high.